Alrighty, guys. Looks like we are live. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and I am coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we are talking about Abby and Libby's case out of Delphi and whether or not you believe Richard Allen is guilty, innocent, deserves a fair trial. Is he innocent until proven guilty? Or are you convinced that he's innocent now, but he does deserve a fair trial? Or you're just waiting for the conviction? Let me know in the chat. But today I think we're going to focus mainly on the actual evidence, timeline, the bullet, Richard Allen himself, witnesses, and the timeline. Good to see you, Don. Hope you're doing well. Night Shadow, how are you? Anthony Long, that's a new name. Welcome in, Anthony. Make sure you guys give Anthony a warm welcome. Hey, Night Shadow. So, what do you guys think about the poll question? It's kind of a tricky question. Is he innocent no matter what until proven guilty? Or is he most likely guilty but still deserves a fair trial? Is there even a such thing as a fair trial with a case like this, so high profile? Good to see you, Bobby. Ziggy, welcome in. Good morning, Heather. Thank you, Don. Sees through. Stay pressed. Oh, that name makes me laugh. Danny B. Michelle, how are you? Good to see you. Phil Bond. My dude. Daly, how are you? Nixon, No Effects. Molly. Danny B. V, how are you? Good morning, Doris. Yeah, make yourself at home, Anthony. If you need anything, shoot me an email, okay? sleuthintuition@gmail.com. What's up, Ziggy? Hold on a second. Something's going on with my camera. Hold on one second, guys. Oh, well, guess I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe it's my lighting. I wish I wasn't so anal. Let's try this. Hey, that worked. All righty. All right, guys, we are sponsored by Ziggy1967. Thank you for that super sticker, super chat, whatever that was. Hey, what's up, Brian? We haven't seen the toxicology report. We don't know if they were sedated. I think we would know by now. You know, I think the defense has done a good job of leaking all the pertinent information. Unless somehow they can tie it back to Richard Allen and evidence that was found in his home, they're not going to talk about it. Hey, Julia. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? What is up, Steph? There you go. How you settling in? V, it's more of a philosophical question. Is he innocent until proven guilty? Should you say is saying he's innocent just as I guess, well, let me rephrase that. Is saying he's guilty just as bad as saying he is innocent? I guess is the question. Or should he just be considered innocent until they can prove he's guilty? I feel like they already have. I can see it playing out in my mind. I can see Richard Allen's behavior. I mean, it's clear to me, but I'm extremely biased. I've been covering this case. Well, been covering this case for almost 3 years, but I've been looking into this case since 2017. So I'm definitely vested and I may be biased. Molly says, I appreciate the poll question because everyone deserves to have a fair trial per the Constitution, and saying you want that doesn't mean you think the accused is innocent or guilty. But people like me, I don't feel like I'm any different than these folks who say Richard Allen is innocent, because in my mind, he's definitely guilty. So I feel like I don't know, at just as much at fault as they are. But the truth is, I I still believe that my stance is I believe he deserves a fair trial. I believe he's getting a fair trial, though. That's the difference. I don't believe anything that's going on with Richard Allen has been unfair. I mean, I just feel like people are just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like when a new war breaks out. Everybody's like, oh my God, all these civilians are dying. Well, what the fuck do you think war is? Like, what do you think it is to be a prisoner? You're going to be handcuffed, shackled, and you're going to be locked in a cage. Why are you acting shocked about that? Hey, what's up, Doris? Hey, Don, good to see you. What up, Nate? Let's start with this here. So let's talk about the ejector marks. I think it's a good place to start. And it's the one thing that Richard Allen lovers, they never talk about the bullet, ever. I dare anybody to go up in one of these channels and bring it up in the chat. So it states here, the one on the left was the piece of evidence found at a crime scene. The one on the right is the test. Now they're going to show something very similar to this in the courtroom. They're going to show the Maxwell comparison. They're probably going to show a Ron Logan comparison if he had any 40 caliber firearms. They're going to show the Weber comparison, along with many others. So at the end of anything that's made of metal, you're going to find machine marks, even if it was laser cut. It's because the metal where you're cutting it through is not going to be consistent. It's not going to be solid. It's not like it's not 100% consistent. So you could cut the same piece of metal on the left and then cut it again on the right, and it's not going to be the same. There might be small air pockets or bubbles or something microscopic. So the same thing is going on at the end of this ejector here. It has a fingerprint. So this is going to be the one thing that gets Richard Allen convicted, and the one reason that I'm convinced that he is that killer on the bridge there. Then I've been hearing a lot of stupid shit like, oh, he might sit on a bench and transfer hair or fibers. The girls may have sat on a bench and then he sat on a bench. That's got to be the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So how is a guy's bullet at the crime scene? He's there during the time of the murders. And you're telling me the reason he has a fiber, similar fibers from the girl on his clothing or his from him at the crime scene is because he sat on a bench and then the girl sat on a bench? Like, are you even thinking before you say that? So to me, this is proof that folks don't care if he's innocent or guilty. It's all political. They're all working for their daddy, the devil. Whatever they can do to further that negative bullshit, they'll do. And go look at their behavior at home too. Ask them what they're into. Guarantee they're into the occult, the dark arts. They don't believe in God, and if they do, they prefer to worship Satan. I mean, this is just behavior that's right in line with how they live life in a negative realm. Hey, what's up, Kristen? Good to see you. Let's go to Anthony. I enjoy seeing people fight for per rights, but some of these killers like Kohlberger and Allen, Kohlberger is a good example, are hard not to say guilty. One, he has confessed. Kohlberger was seen by a surviving roommate. Very difficult. And that's the point I'm saying. That's the point that I'm trying to make today is, yes, I'm convinced that he's the guy. Do I believe he needs a fair trial? Yeah, because for one, I'm biased. I probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And everybody needs to go through that process. This is just my opinion. And everybody knows I've spent a whole lot of time on the Delphi case. One has confessed. So that's the thing. Not only did he confess, he admitted to being there at the time of the murders. And that's one thing that's really bothered me. We knew about JP. We dug him up. DP, he got drug across the coals, you know. Couple under the bridge, we know who they are. We know who the pings were on the south end of the bridge around after 3 o'clock. We knew about all of these folks. We knew about Brian and Jesse, the guy who was walking his dog there at 12 and came back the following day around the same time. Seems to be something he does on a daily basis. We knew about him. So why did we not know about the guy that came forward and has no issue saying he was on the trails? Why is he such a mystery? The guy that looks like the bridge guy. We didn't know about him. If Richard Allen was innocent, in my opinion, we would have known all about him. And we would have been accusing him, and people would have been like, no, you're dumb. This is why. And the reason we would know it wasn't him, because we would know everything about him. But the reason that we don't is by design. Richard Allen, you guys aren't giving him any credit at all. You call him a tiny man, almost as if he's a simpleton. But you know nothing of this guy. You have no clue who this man is or what he's capable of. So these are the extractor marks that they're going to be looking at. Now, the extractor, when you rack a new round, the extractor is what's going to shoot out the old bullet. It catches it right here by this lip and spits it out. So I'm pretty sure Richard Allen walked up to the girls, and you can see it in the video. He pulls out the gun. There's frames where they darken it out and his mouth opens. So he's most likely pulling out the gun, showing it to them, and saying, "Guys, like, look what I got, and I'm coming right at you." Pulls it out and puts it right into his jacket, or maybe even reholsters it and then puts it in his jacket. But that is the part where he says, "Guys," pulls out the gun, shows it to them, and then hides it in his jacket. State Press says, if I killed somebody, I wouldn't have 10 plus lawyers representing me unless it was a sensational case like this one. And then as in here, defense lawyers would be lining up to advance their careers. Yeah, I feel like the defense team might be responsible for this delay, maybe convincing Richard Allen. But then again, it kind of goes to his previous behavior. I just feel like he has no remorse. He feels like he can get off with this. I mean, he did it for 6 years. You guys didn't even know who he was. And you still can't accept the fact that he might be a guilty man. Don says, I have 2 pumpkins coming up in my yard. Justice is coming. My daughter said 1 pumpkin for Liberty and 1 for Abigail. Yeah, we're invested, guys. There was a reason that Abby and Libby were haunting this world. They literally haunted me. They're still haunting me. And I thought it was because of, no, first I thought it was because of family involvement. You know, there's something that we're not seeing. Maybe a neighbor, a close relative, a good friend, maybe. So what the hell is this? Why am I so drawn to this? What is it that we can't see? What is attracting all these people to come help? Good and bad. You got the devil calling people and you got the Lord calling people to help on both sides. It's like a holy war. But I just couldn't figure it out. Then I thought, well, maybe it's police corruption. You know, somebody has their thumb on the scale, you know, bumping some evidence off the table or switching evidence. You know, that's just not, you know, that's not realistic. That's a whole nother crime. You can't just throw it out there. You need a reason why you're saying that. Well, this is why I think that. Not just, oh, the government's corrupt. But I believe I figured it out. I believe I figured out what has us so drawn to this case. And it's Richard Allen himself. This Jedi. I did not commit the murders. Right? Little old me. I feel like he's been doing that his entire life. Mr. Quiet. Living up in his head. Playing out every scenario all the time. I mean, I do believe in conspiracies. That just doesn't mean that that's what's going on here this very moment. Nice, Julia. Hey, what's up, Miss Thank? How you doing, Danita? Now, I believe this bullet is the one piece. And Richard Allen's search warrant may have been standard, you know, just something they were going to do like they've done before. Dozens of search warrants were served. Sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random striated impressed marks as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours. That one piece, guys, All right, we're going to go do a search warrant on Bicycle Bridge Road. We're looking for firearms, 40 caliber specific. We'll go ahead and take those. So when they left the Maxwell home, they didn't know if they had anything. They ran their tests. 2 weeks later, he was cleared. Same with Weber. We're pretty sure this is our guy. And maybe that's what Robert Ives thought. Like, hey, we found a 40 caliber and, we had some suspects that had 40 calibers that lived nearby. Thought this was going to be solved right away. But no, they couldn't find that one piece. Well, guess what changed with Richard Allen? They ran the analysis, took a look at the comparison, and sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random striated impressed marks as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours. Hey, Truffles, thank you so much, guys, for supporting my channel. It means a lot to me. Since we are opinioning, my opinion is that he is guilty. I am not the one responsible for that decision as a juror. Exactly. Yes, it's in the Constitution. That doesn't mean I have to follow the Constitution in my opinion. The court does. Do I respect the Constitution? Yes. We're all protected under it. Doesn't matter what I say. That's why we have the Constitution. So idiots like me can't go around creating mobs and forcing people to do things that they shouldn't do or don't want to do or that are unjust. That's why we have the Constitution. But the Constitution also protects my freedom. And that's why my opinion is being expressed here today, because I'm free to do so. Do I hope that the jury isn't as biased as me? Hell yeah. Because if so, it ain't going to be a fair trial. Would I sentence Richard Allen to death? No, because I haven't seen the comparison. But that's what will convict him. His timeline and that analysis will be the nail in Richard Allen's coffin. And it's also the reason I believe he's guilty. So now throw anything on top of that. I mean, it would only take a feather for me.
Analysis of the bullet that was found near the victim's bodies.
So the bullet, though, was not a spent bullet, correct?
That's my understanding from the probable cause. Yes, it was not fired.
Okay, not fired. So how do you do forensic analysis on a not fired bullet?
Well, there's two different ways of conducting that type of analysis. If a bullet is fired out of a gun, then you can conduct an analysis on the projectile itself as it twists and comes out of a barrel. There may be different nicks and scrapes and things on the bullet, but any bullet casing that's been ejected out of a semi-automatic handgun, whether that gun has been fired or not, it is pushed into the bottom part of the barrel, and then when the slide is racked and the bullet's ejected, even if it hasn't been fired, there's still an extractor that grabs the edge of that bullet, that flips it out, and that process often, not always, but often leaves marks and dents, and those marks and dents can be very specific to the weapon.
And that's what we're dealing with here, guys. Remember, no speedy trial. When you're innocent, what's the best thing you can do? Push for a speedy trial. Why? Because you don't want your accusers to be prepared, right? You don't want to help your accusers. You want to catch them with their pants down, on the heel or their foot. Yeah, that's how I feel, Molly. And you're right about that. I agree with you. Are you harassing the families and slandering them on YouTube lives? Then you're not the same. I'm slandering Richard Allen often, And I don't speak highly of his family very much. So I guess I am slandering them. Not families, but I've definitely spoken about Richard Allen and his family. Not in a derogatory way, but definitely in a way I wouldn't talk about the victims' families, that's for sure. Kristen says, I believe he's absolutely getting a fair trial. And remember, all of the bullshit that's being kind of spewed out there, it's just repetitive parroting of what the defense is putting out. And I'm being careful not to do the same with what the prosecution is putting out. Because that bullet is solid evidence. That is solid. He puts himself there during the time of the murders. His bullet is there, and I guarantee they got more. I guarantee it. But I think the timeline and the witnesses and that bullet alone is enough to convict him. Now, if you can find some fibers off of Abby and Libby or any kind of DNA from them at his home or, pieces of the trophies or whatever, anything like that, I mean, it's a done deal. Okay. And in the defense memo, they only talk about it in this small portion here. The defense has provided 2 photos of the shoe and cell phone found under Abby's legs and marked them as Exhibit 21 and 22 and have been filed confidentially. Also, the defense has provided 3 photos of a bullet purportedly found in the ground between Abby and Libby. Purportedly? What do you mean purportedly? You didn't look at the chain of custody? You didn't look at the photos? Like, remember, guys, this is not them. This is not their honest opinion. This is not how they really think. This is going through a filter that's designed for you, the viewers, and the potential jurors. They don't believe this. They will not go into their own beliefs because they have to ride that deniability. It's got to be hard to be a defense attorney because the moment you figure out your client is guilty, now you're at conflict with yourself. So they have to push that way deep down inside. It should be noted that as of the date of this memo, the defense has no photographs of the bullet allegedly found between the girls after it was removed from the ground. So it's like nothing they say is even accurate or true, but yet people are just hanging on to every word that comes from the defense. And we have to be careful not to do that with the prosecution. But when they're talking about scientific proof, hey, what's up, Don? Periwinkle. Good to see you guys. Hey, Jamie. Let's go to Julia. If it's not Richard Allen, then who? That's what I keep coming back to. Occam's razor. I mean, we've been looking at this case for 6 years. People from all over the world. You've had professional investigators, retired law enforcement, retired CSI, Paul Holes, everybody across the world digging, hacking, Facebook stalking, accusing everybody. I mean, we literally pretty much found everybody that was at that trail that day. Why didn't we find Richard Allen? Mr. I'm innocent. Yeah, I was there. I'm just here to help. Yeah, I walked by, saw the 3 girls. I didn't see the victims. Yeah, we don't know about him. He told all his buddies that was him. I'm sure his wife knew that was him. Why did we not know? Well, for one, he didn't go around talking about it. It's my understanding he got rid of his Facebook, all of his social media. Like, guys, this dude is guilty. I am convinced this man is guilty. Does he deserve a fair trial? Hell yeah. Who the hell am I? I'm not anybody to go in there and take people's rights away. But I can see this clearly. And the folks who are rooting for Richard Allen, knowing damn well it's not just a possibility, there's a huge chance, it's likely that he is the killer. And I think that's the part that they're supporting is the evil in him. They would like to get him off. How satisfying would that be for them? A child killer off the hook. Molly says, Sleuth, the difference is between people who will state actual facts and evidence and think critically and logically through what we know about the crime versus just making, I know he's innocent. Exactly. We're not going to just read this defense memo and hang on to every word as if it's gospel. Because it's not. It's designed to make a guilty man look innocent. So only an idiot would hang on to those words. Well, what about the law enforcement? They're trying to make an innocent man look guilty. Is that what they're doing? What they did was they took information that they had. It was enough to get a search warrant. And it was probably just going to be just another search warrant. One to add to the numbers of search warrants that were done previously. The only difference is they found something. Let's go to the footnote here. On September 8th, 2023, the defense did receive photographs of the bullet at the forensic lab where it was tested. However, the defense still has not received photos of the bullet from the crime scene technicians pulling out the bullet from the ground or placing it into the evidence bag, as it is standard practice. So they're saying they still have not received the photos. They're not saying that they don't exist. I'm sure they have them now. And remember, they couldn't even find anything. They were begging the prosecution to help them find evidence, find documents in the discovery. How embarrassing is that? So maybe you guys just need to go take another look. They're probably there, dude. And what's really silly about it all is that I expect the defense to do this. Why wouldn't they put out this kind of embellished talking points? Why would they do that? Well, it's because they're trying to sell. They're salesmen. They're trying to sell to you the fact that Richard Allen might be innocent. They don't need to prove he's innocent. They just need a little bit of doubt. I can go with others being involved, but I don't see how Richard Allen isn't the guy walking the trails and BG and was at the scene of the death. Well, we can't look at the video and say, hey, that's Richard Allen. We can just say, damn, like they got the same height, same build, same walk, and they sound very similar. But that's not what matters. It doesn't matter what we think. The only reason they released that video is they were hoping that people who know him came forward, and why they didn't come forward should definitely be something brought up in court, because that's a crime in my opinion. But what does matter is that the witnesses see that video and they say, hey, the guy that we saw is the guy in the video. And also the guy we saw, now that we know who it is, I believe is Richard Allen. So can you convict a man on that? No. But you're going to get the jury's attention. And then you start putting him at the crime scene with the bullet. How do you defend that man after that? Yeah, I can understand taking a few steps back and saying, well, we're going to have to leave it up to the judge and jury to figure that out, because, man, that doesn't look good. Well, that's the very reason he's in handcuffs. is because they have enough evidence to basically say, hey, man, we're pretty sure it's you and we're going to prove it in court. State Press says they don't talk about the evidence against him in general. They talk about Odinites, the family, Ron Logan. Yeah, it's weird that they take this opportunity to bash the family. It's very strange. I mean, I know what it is. It's just pure evil. The lines are drawn. You don't have to believe it. You may not even see it for yourself. But that's what's happening. Good to see you, Jamie. The Vinlanders. Hey, and who's to say we don't have it all wrong? I'm just telling you, there is no evidence to support that. Does it make you go, Does it make a good story? Yes. Is it scary? Well, if you ask Libredo, and it's scary. That dude is not a good actor. I'm sorry. In my whole year, in all my years of being a lawyer and a public defender, I've never, ever once seen Odinism. But now that I have with Richard Allen, it's really scary. It is scary. Why would Libredo say that? Why would he say he's innocent? Well, because technically he's still his attorney. And there's a chance that he might be put back on the case. You can't go around saying this guy's guilty and then expect to be put on the case. Common sense, guys. Let's start there. I thought I actually had that video. It doesn't look like it. It is scary. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. There you go, farmer. Sees through says, surely if we are to believe they used ejector markings to rule out certain firearms, then we have to believe the same test can be used to include firearms. That's exactly what happened. I believe that is Doug Carter's one piece. We need that one piece. And they have it. They got it. They got a match. And they're going to show the jury all of their comparisons. It will be concise. That's why he's in jail now. And I have a feeling the reason that they were able to arrest him, well, I think they could have arrested him the second that the comparisons came back as a positive match. But the only reason they were interviewing is try to get more information. But if not, I think it was Richard Allen saying, no, nobody's had access to my gun. Okay, well, if nobody's had access to the gun and we have that on record now, you can't take that back. You're telling us that right now. But we have news for you. And they did a good job of keeping that information secret. Well, they tried to. You have people like Julie Melvin and Sonny Justice who decided to do a live stream about it. That could have also been the reason that they may have forced law enforcement's hand. They're like, well, we were always expecting this day to come. We were hoping to have more information. But yeah. Even days later, how would it get there? Exactly. What if it was there from 2014? You know what I mean? What is your bullet doing where these girls were found? This tells me that you come down to this area. To me, it doesn't change anything. It still would connect Richard Allen to the crime scene. But now we know, because the defense keeps leaking information and not following the rules, we know all this inside information. And if there was anybody else involved, It'll be hard to prove that because the defense has leaked so much. It's hard to verify that this person is telling you inside information or something that the killer would only know because everything is slowly being leaked to the public. I don't know if it's more definitive, Anna, but there's something about the placement of it that helps. So that they might be able to have what would you call it? Like a cross reference. Like, okay, not only do we have a match on the machine marks, but we also have a placement match as well. The placement of the pin. Because the firing pin just kind of pops out, and each gun it's going to kind of go to the left, go to the right. It's not a direct hit every time. Good to see you, Cindy. I think so, Julia. I mean, we got to be dealing with some kind of a witness, right? Why would the attorney general talk about somebody getting the reward money? Let's take a listen to the audio. We seem to be forgetting about all of this, real evidence.
Rick.
Cable snap. There's the word shirt coming up.
Guys. Down there. Rick. Guys. Rick. Guys. Rick. Guys. Rick. Guys. Down there.
Cable snap. There's the word shirt coming up.
Rick.
Cable snap. There's the word shirt coming up.
Guys. Down there. Rick. Guys.
I mean, have you guys heard anything closer? Yeah, he confessed pure and simple. Going to be his own words that sinks him. But I also know that there are false confessions. People can begin to suffer from mental health and be pressured to give a confession. But the thing is, I don't get vibes from him that he's like a low IQ type guy. I feel like he's just quiet and people assume that about him. I think he likes that. I think he likes being the little guy. I think he likes people not seeing him coming and looking past him. He's one of those guys that can be in a crowded room and you won't even see him. Just some quiet guy leaning against the wall and you just look right past him. I think that has a lot to do with what happened to Dan Doolin, right? And I agree. I believe it is hindsight because I think Richard Allen is a master manipulator. That's what's drawing us to this case. That's why Abby and Libby are haunting everybody, because it's something so hard to see. We have this horrible crime. There's no way it's this little CVS guy, this quiet guy with no criminal history. Well, that reminds me, remember when Michael Catt was talking to Kim Riley, he said, Kim, what's going on with this guy? Where's the DNA? Kim told him, well, it's like, there's no record of him. So the killer they're looking for doesn't have a criminal record. So that fits with Richard Allen. I mean, I just don't know how more clearly to spell it out. So for folks to be defending this man, I understand defending his right to a free trial, but defending him, this is going to be a quick trial. And it won't go to trial. You guys can mark my words right now. I'll be happy to eat them when the day comes. No big deal. Good. I hope we go to trial. I want there to be a trial. I just know that there won't be. Yeah, V. How is it that we figured out who DP was? We figured out who all of these folks were who were on the bridge with Cheyenne. Um, all of this shit. I mean, we knew pretty much everybody that was on that bridge, on that trail, in that area. Why didn't we know about Richard Allen? Somebody who has no problem admitting that he was there and he's an innocent man. Why didn't we know about him? Do you guys ever ask yourself that question? I bet you can't find another person that was there that we don't know about. The only person we couldn't find is the damn killer, and that's by design. I mean, this guy planned to get away with it. I believe he targeted Abby and Libby. I know statistically that doesn't match, and that's, a lot of folks don't believe that, and we may never know the answer to that, but I do believe it. I believe he targeted them girls. There may be others involved, though all could be guilty. The law may find greater or lesser degrees of guilt. Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing is if he had help, we're going to find out. That'll be part of the plea agreement. We'll get all the answers. Well, maybe not to his involvement, but we'll get more answers on who else was involved. Because that's the only credit he has. That's the only credit card in his back pocket is, well, you guys don't have all the answers. I can provide that to you. In exchange for probably take the death penalty off the table. I think that would be fair. Because if he never talks or he never comes forward and they go through this trial and they still find him guilty, man, people are going to continue to try to get him out of prison. I mean, you guys saw what happened with the West Memphis 3. And that's evil answering the call of evil. I need your help. Especially when you're out doing evil and you're doing acts for the devil. They're going to come to your aid. That's the last thing these evil fucks want, is for you to get busted doing your evil works. Anthony says sociopaths are very smart. Yeah, I feel like this guy, Richard Allen, right? If he's the killer, he's gone through this in his head a million times. And I feel like anybody that's going through this scenario a million times in their head is also going to lure their victims. If he can find out a way to do it without it coming back to him, let's say through like an Anthony Shots or something similar, a phone that's not connected to him, an account that's not connected to him. And we know a whole lot about what was going on with Libby, but we don't know anything about what was going on with Abby. Who was trying to reach her on her phone, who was catfishing her on her phone. We know the weeks before she passed away, she was having a conversation with Libby on another social media account where she said she was talking to Logan Holder. He was grounded, little kid stuff. Logan was just a little kid, guys. Mean teen stuff does happen, but I mean, come on, this guy was, I think, what was he, 16 years old or something? But yeah, she was talking about some number was calling her again. And that she was going to listen to the voicemail before she went over. That was the last time they spoke. 2 weeks later, they were found dead. Julie says, was it just a fluke not knowing Richard Allen? It has to be right. Genuinely curious. Yeah, that's no fluke. I mean, if we're talking about a guy who is innocent, no reason to hide, no reason to keep it a secret. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I was on that trail, I'd be like, guys, I was there that day. Can you believe it? I was right there. I mean, I probably saw the killer. I mean, even DP said that. He said, "Yeah, I'll give you guys a sketch of the guy I saw." Ended up being somebody else. JP said the same thing. He said, "I passed a man. It could have been the killer." He said he beats himself up over it. So I wonder now. I wonder what he would say about that guy. Like, hey, was that Richard Allen? Looking back, do you think that was the guy you passed? Sees through. If he had been sat on the bench at either times, he claimed 1:30, 3:30 p.m. or 12 to 1:30 p.m., he would have been seen there. Yeah. I mean, it's clear as day, guys. We got the guy, his voice matches. He matches the description of the bridge guy. His bullet was found at the crime scene. He's never publicly come out and talked about his experience, even though we've known everybody to be there. Right? Hey, Sylvia, good to see you. Finally able to catch a live stream. Better late than never. Yeah, good to see you. I appreciate all your comments, though, too. Good to see you. Let's go to Michelle. Good to see you, Michelle. Richard Allen seems pretty smart, calculating, cold intelligence vibe. Yeah, I feel like he's one of those people that. Have you ever caught somebody like talking to themselves and they're like having an argument? He reminds me of those folks. They just play. They do play-by-plays in their mind. They're having an argument with themselves. I feel like he ran through every scenario and he decided, yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm going to do it. I've successfully catfished these girls and lured them. And that's yet to be proven. You know, statistically, that's not what happened. Statistically, he went there to do harm with no specific target. You know, and he may have just bypassed those girls just to get a look at the trail. He could have been targeting them. Like, hey, I'll come back this way. I just need to see who's all here. You know, I need to do a little bit of recon. That could even be why he went out on the bridge. Go out far enough, you can see underneath it. Okay, who's over here? And you can see who's just underneath your feet on the north end. So he could have just been making sure, you know, the coast was clear. And then he's going to go ahead and attack the first people he feels comfortable with. I mean, for all we know, he was targeting Betsy Blair. She came. She's a lone woman. He just came from the checking out the entirety of the trail. Maybe he was following her out. And then that's when the girls came. And he decided, okay, well, I'm going to switch from Betsy to these young girls here. Could that have happened? Yeah, I don't think so. I think he lured those girls there. He lured them there that day. He targeted them. And I think if he was targeting Libby, we would know because of her social media interactions. I think they would have found a connection there. And people ask, why didn't they take Libby's phone? I think that's another reason why. He had no interest in that phone. The reason he left her the way he did was he was mad at her. She was an enemy of his. What he did to Abby was most likely some kind of personal reason, some kind of issue. Not to mention, she didn't live too far from him. Yeah, hang in there, Kristen. We're praying for you for a quick recovery. Hey, Purple. What's up with you? Good to see you. Guys, gun, guys down the hill. Here, maybe I'll pull something up. I was having issues with my program here, but let's give it a try. I want to show you guys the part where he actually pulls the gun out. and set. You can see his mouth move. Bear with me. Just waiting for this program to load. Oh, that's why. When you pull a document into this editing program, you have to leave it in its source file. If you move it, it no longer can find it. So what I did was I wanted to talk about the evidence, so I pulled the bridge guy video into a different folder. Okay, that explains everything. So let me put this folder back. And then we'll reload this. All right. So you can see what I'm doing is like a layered technique, and it's working really well. So I'll give you an example. So, I mean, we're getting some really clear shots here. Here you can kind of see he might be wearing either a hat or his little beanie. But right here is where he pulls the gun out. Okay, so I want you to look right here. You can see the tip of the barrel. And then it'll move to right here. See it? So from here, it'll move to there. So it looks like he put it back into his holster. See it? But watch his mouth as well. See it? Watch his mouth. Guys, see his mouth open? Pulls out the gun. Guys, he wants to show it to him. Guys, they're like, oh, he has a gun. And then he gets up closer to him and says, you know, he tells him to, let's go. Come, you're coming with me. Let's go this way. And they're like, well, this is the end of the trail, dude. There's nowhere else to go. And then that's when he says, get down the hill. So barrel of the gun here, and they tried to hide it. You see that? They didn't want anybody to see it, but this is when he pulls the gun out and shows it. And he's doing something with his right hand too. You see it? Or his left hand, sorry. So guys, here's the gun. Back into the holster. Pulls it out of the holster into the jacket. See that? Guys, look what I have. Holster, out of the holster, into the jacket. So I just wanted to show you guys that. Yep, he would have been seen 100%. As long as the pro defense gets to dictate the other actors, God forbid we focus on a pedo ring. Nope, because they put so much research into paganism and Odinism. It must be that. Yeah, they don't want answers, guys. They don't want any answers. I hooked up one of these numbskulls with a cold case detective that was willing to come join this person and help them out on a case that they're seemingly to be passionate about. But they don't care about the victims. They just care about the whole conspiracy of it all. You know, look at what I dug up. Look at the narrative I'm able to create. They get off on that shit. Yeah, Julia. It would be easy to say, yeah, it was a sexually motivated, but I just don't know. I'm not qualified to make that decision. I do know that you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a sexual act for there to be sexual motivation. These folks take trophies and they relive the murder and the victimizing of these people. That's how they get the sexual gratification later. Nixon says sexual. Could be. I mean, why else would would the girls be undressed? Yeah, they're haunting for justice, and it's not because they were killed by their family. It's not because police corruption. It's because they were killed by a master manipulator, somebody who is able to hide in plain sight. I mean, imagine how he felt when this video came out. Yeah, that's a tough case, Miss Thang, Lauren Spear. We've covered that case a few times. I have a whole file on her. I mean, they have less information in that case than they do in this one, by far. Everybody's like, well, why is everybody paying so much attention to the Delphi case? Well, look, they got this freaking bridge video and that creepy voice. That's why. Yeah, that does say something, Anna. And I don't know if that was to humiliate them. I don't know if that was there to mislead investigators on the real motive. I don't know. Yeah, and the trophies. The trophies. That's what they say. When I look at the information, the trophies tell me that it was sexually motivated, and that it was part of a deviant fantasy. So the undressing and the taking of the trophies, and the choice of victims. Yeah, but I just don't know for sure. Since both victims were undressed, one was redressed. I don't see, and I don't know if that's true. That all comes from the defense memo that Abby was redressed. She may have been, but I'm just careful where that information comes from. Can we agree insanity needs no motive? Yeah, that's true as well. A lot of times these cases don't make any sense because they didn't make sense to the killer when he did it. How did we know the girls would be there that day? I fully believe he knew. Yeah, I can't get that out of my mind. Yeah, the preparedness and the pre-planning that we seem to be seeing here could be just because he knew he would find a victim that day. And maybe this wasn't his first time. Maybe he's gone hunting out there a few times and said, hey, well, today, no luck. But I just can't get over the fact, look how he is dressed. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has a holster here, but I don't know if he has a holster in a larger bag. I don't know if he has a bag over his shoulder that he's carrying here and then the jacket over it. But I mean, why is he dressed the way he is? He's got something wrapped around his neck. He's got a hood on. He's got a hat. Appears to be glasses up here on his head. Why is he backing in to the CPS building? Why is he parking at the CPS building anyway? Why didn't he park at the Mears lot? There was nobody there. Was it just his personal preference? I mean, I back in everywhere I go, but I drive a pickup truck. It's just easier to get out. Here's a good view of the gun. Sadomasochist. Gail, we were looking for a normal sized man. Not sure why correct size was never established. Seems it would have been easy to copy man size. Well, I always knew this guy was short. You can go back to all my videos and I would tell you that it takes one to know one. I've told you guys that from the beginning. This is a short man. Stocky upper build, little skinny legs. 5'5". I mean, I'm built just like Richard Allen. Just heavier. I have size 10 feet and I have broader shoulders. And I'm 185 slimmed. So him slimmed, he's about probably 150. He's got tiny feet. But I mean, I'm not much taller than this guy at all. And I said that from the beginning. Takes one to know one. We're looking at a short guy, short, stocky dude. And even the witnesses said he was 5'6". Put on a pair of boots. Boom, there you go, 5'6". Thank God with a pair of boots on 5'7". But for him, that'll probably put him at 5'5", 5'6". But yeah, we were looking for a monster. We were looking for a monster that looks like a monster. We didn't know we were looking for a Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Yeah, we all want that. We all deserve that. Not for Richard Allen, but for everybody. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you, Julia. Following true crime so long, I've become desensitized to an extent. I agree with that. But some days I think about Abby and Libby, and it's physically gut-wrenching what these baby girls endured. Justice is coming. Yeah, you have to take yourself out of the YouTube, Hollywood movie trailer of it all and put yourself into their shoes that day. Imagine being a young girl and being confronted by this motherfucker. There's nothing you can do, guys. He's got a gun and a knife. I'd like to see you get away from that. Gives me chills. Damn, my hands are sweaty. And that's the problem with these people who are out supporting Richard Allen right now. They took away the humanity from these girls, or they just they just lost their connection with humanity. I mean, you got to be one sick son of a bitch, desperate soul, to sit there and support this guy. You got to be in a really dark place with what we know. All right, let me shut down that program. I just wanted to show you guys that part real quick. What's up, Miss Kitty? Yeah, good to see you, CJK. And I don't even know if it's truth. It's just flat out lies. And remember, people are always like, well, they can't put out lies. Well, they can if they never intend to prove it in a court of law. And I don't think they ever intend to go to take this thing to trial. They can lie all they want. Oh, we never meant for that document to be public. Man, these guys are making a mockery of it all. And I guess that's what the defense job, that's what their job is, right? Confessions are only as good as the details he gave. Might be no better than a false confessions. Yeah, and it's the little things, right? If you have people who have arrested you and keep telling you that you did this crime and you're suffering from mental health issues, it is possible to give a false confession. So I say throw them all out. Throw it all out. You know, except for the one that he told to his wife and his mother. There's no pressure there. And also, I don't want to see it taken out of context either. Like, yeah, I guess I did it. You know, I did it. I mean, why would they arrest me if I didn't do it? Right? I had to have done it. I just can't remember. You know, if he said something stupid like that. But no, I'm sure he said, yeah, I did it. Because at some point, I believe his defense was like, dude, just give us a chance, right? You're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. Give us a chance to get you off of this. We can get you off, maybe even on a technicality. They don't have a big case here. You know, they don't have the strongest case. What's up, Cryptex? Welcome in. Kristen, yes, they found everyone who was there that day. No Odinist cult members present. Well, what if they pulled in through the Wilson Bridge area? You can drive a vehicle down there. And people always say, oh, you can't get it. Man, I can get my truck into anything. When I go camping, hunting, we have to go out and get firewood, you know, and sometimes you don't want to huck it all the way to the road. You got to back into I call them the honey holes. Man, we got a nice honey hole back here. Let's back the truck. You can get it anywhere. You don't need a road. So who's to say this group didn't pull in through the Wilson Bridge area, park down there where nobody can see, and it was Richard Allen's job to bring them to the group. Right? That could have happened. No evidence to support that, but hey, what's up? Motive. Thank you. Hey, Don. Yeah, hiding in plain sight. That's what Abby and Libby were trying to tell us, guys. It's something that we would never expect. It's not the big bad wolf. You know, it's not Bigfoot. It's not some cryptoid creature, you know. It's not aliens. It's not corruption. Trust me, corruption does exist. Crooked cops. How many times do we have to do stories on crooked cops? But the one thing about crooked cops is they're crooked. They leave a lot of evidence. They're not that smart. I mean, look at James Burke. That idiot. Their compulsion is what brings their activity to light. They can't stop. They can't stop being who they are deep down. Same with a lot of these YouTubers. Just watch them. Take a close look at them. Listen to the sick shit they say. The devil's in the details. Yeah, I agree, Miss Dog Lover. So I just hope that I'm right. He confesses, and if anybody else is involved, he'll give the details on that. His wife went quiet on her own Facebook around that time too, but knows nothing, obviously. That is true. And she didn't show another photo of him until late 2018. But like I said, that could be him staying out of pictures, staying out of the public eye. When it comes to Richard Allen, I don't like to blame people. I don't want to blame his wife. I don't blame Dan Doolin. I blame him. He's doing now what he's done his entire life. The hand up Mona Lisa's skirt. The thing you can't, out of frame. Everything he does is out of the picture. Yeah, I agree with that because there's nothing worse than what happened to Abby and Libby, other than convicting an innocent man for the crime. It's the only thing that could be worse. And I get it. Richard Allen deserves a fair trial, but he's not even going to trial, guys. I'm telling you right now. He's guilty as hell. Come on, everyone knows the Odinists were all at Ron Logan's having a hog roast. It's possible. Is there any evidence? Absolutely not. Crazy. So what do we know? Let's take a look at the timeline here. This is an unofficial timeline. This is something I put together. So we got, technically it's 4 witnesses, 4 girls, but one of them was just a tiny little 8-year-old girl. She could easily get lost in between these 3 girls, these 3 teenage girls. So the timeline tells us they left. Now they took photos of the bridge and then the bench up here. So we know that they were here at around 12:50. And they were here hoping that Abby and Libby would get here. But they had to wait. They had to wait for the first train out of the Patty home, which was Kelsey. Well, technically it was her dad, but I have a feeling he was running a little bit late. Seems like he was in a hurry. And also the timing of it. The girls were able to determine they were getting a ride around 1:30 ish, right? So I believe anywhere between probably around 1 o'clock, they put the word out on social media. Guys, we're going to catch up with you at around 1 or 1:30. RV, BW, and AS say, okay, we'll wait as long as we can, but we can't just stay here forever. So right around 1, they decide, okay, we got to go. Well, why is it that when the girls are finally able to confirm that they're going to be at the trails, that's when Richard Allen happens to show up? Could be a coincidence. Hey, what's up, Randall? Welcome in. Yeah, and I don't know if Abby and Libby went up this way, but I think they did. I think Abby and Libby went up this way to try to catch the girls. I've been to a hog roast before, Mexican style. Some of the best green chili I've ever had in my life. Thanks, Anthony. My name is Rick. Rick. He's got that weird voice. All right. So if you guys want to know about the pings on the south end of the bridge, you got a couple folks who worked at Subaru hanging out on the south end. They run into their friend Cheyenne. So the defense is trying to say these folks had something to do with the murders, not Richard Allen. I hope it wasn't pooped. Motive says, I think they knew it was him on the bridge and they blurred out his face. That way someone can say that's my husband or that's my dad or my neighbor. I don't think so. If they saw him, if they had a clear image of his face, he would have been arrested, I think. But they could have hidden that gun. I think that's what they did when he pulled it out. They just blacked it out in that one frame. Yeah, I think his head was down. His head was down, and then every once in a while it would be up and then looking to his left and then to his right. That's another reason it's so blurry. It's all this motion blur. It's like his head is either down, all the way up, or moving left to right. Mix that with his movements and the movement of Liberty, and talk about a mess. But what's important is that she took that video, because without that video, the witnesses can't say, hey, the guy that we passed is the guy that's in that video. So regardless if I can point him out in this courtroom or not, I know for a fact that who we saw is the same guy that's there being shown in Liberty's video. And if it wasn't for Liberty, you wouldn't have that. No. That's why they're there, V. And I feel like they're exploiting the taxpayers of Indiana. Yeah. Seriously, Jamie. 100%. Hey, Cryptex, people that went to the bridge, like the captain went to do height calculations, all of them calculated a taller guy. I know there is an error factor. Don't get me wrong. In my opinion, Richard Allen is involved. Yeah, they're not doing, that's not scientific work. I think the person who did the best comparison by far was Gray Hughes, because he's the only one taking everything into consideration. Where the girls were standing off of the bridge to the right, about a foot down. Everybody else is out there taking video and doing these comparisons, and they don't have the angles right. Like that guy Steve, that weird guy. He did some shitty work too. So I would like to see one analysis on how tall Bridge Guy was somebody actually using the accurate angles. Closest was Gray Hughes by far. I call it the Tom Cruise effect. Camera angles. It's kind of why all these women, they take selfies like this. Get me from my good side. Hey, what's up, Timmy? Miss Kitty, Stephanie, welcome in, guys. Yeah. I don't know about the same, but it's definitely similar. Yeah, I don't know, Miss Kitty. I mean, if he's eating feces and doing all that, I mean, they definitely need to get him evaluated. But to me, that makes him even look more guilty. If we're dealing with a crazy son of a bitch, isn't that who we're looking for? Aren't we looking for a crazy SOB? Shit eating psycho? It's like red wine. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, Miss Kitty, about the motive. We just don't know. We're assuming it's sexually based just due to the undressing, the choice of victims, and for me, it's the trophies. Taking underwear and a sock, like that. Those are the two things that creepos like. You'll catch them smelling stuff like that, right? Socks and underwear. You know, the creep that's always digging through the underwear drawer. It's that kind of shit. Yeah, Anna, I'm 100% convinced that the reason that we're all drawn to this case is Richard Allen himself. And I wonder how many of these killers are hiding in plain sight. Like, I have a feeling a lot of women are responsible for a lot of violent crime, but they just go overlooked. Or maybe even a lot of shorter people, maybe even handicapped folks, are finding ways to get the job done, knowing that nobody will suspect them. Young kids. I know I wouldn't confess to unaliving 2 children if I was innocent. That's about the most moron thing someone can do. Yeah, but it does happen. You have people who confess to murders that they didn't do. Some cases they might even be sent to prison, spend 2 years before they catch the real killer. And the only reason they catch the real killer is because they can't stand somebody else taking their credit for their work. Remember, the same thing that causes them to do these murders will be the same thing that gets them caught. $100. There. That's a good way to put it. Stay pressed. You delusional bitches. They don't care about his rights. They just want the state to lose. Yeah, they're anarchists is what they are. Disruptors. They get off on the disruption of it. To get a guilty man off, oh man, don't imagine that. They would love that. There's certain personalities that you just can't argue with because they'll feed you bullshit that they don't even care about. They're just manipulating you. While you're arguing passionately about your stances and your beliefs and things like that, they'll argue right back with no belief system in place at all. They're just there to win the argument. That's what we're dealing with here. People who get off on winning the argument. When crime first hit the news, I thought this would be solved in a week. Bodies found right away, killer on video, audio. How could they not? I was surprised a few years ago that it hadn't been solved. And if you're a guy and you're planning a murder, I think one thing you would need is a body of water. That's what Joel Rifkin tells us. He was interviewed. Joel, you guys know who Joel Rifkin is? Serial killer. Well, he was interviewed about the Long Island serial killer and what his thoughts were on it. He said, well, the bodies being found near water are definitely not by mistake. That was something he did. Because you can get rid of the evidence. So that's another reason. That's probably was part of Richard Allen's plan. Take him down there by the water, clean all the evidence off of them, and I'll leave them right there. No one will be the wiser. Yeah, I wonder if he had help. All right, guys, this is going to be our 5-minute warning. Let me scroll down here and see if I missed any comments here. Let's go to Crip. It is ironic that one of the argumentation used at the time to say that TK was BG was his height, a tall guy. I don't remember anybody arguing that. I remember more thinking it was Kagan Klein and arguing that, look, he's actually really a short person. I remember that argument. But that argument was also made for Ron Logan. A lot of people thought he was like 6'3" or something like that. He has an appearance of a taller person, but in reality, he was only like 6 feet. Yeah, they were doomed. And I don't care if you were a grown man. You got a gun on you and a knife. All you can do is run. Yep. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to remember some random person. Me too. Yep, 5'6" and 5'10". And the witnesses who spoke, well, we know that they said they believe he was 5'6", that he wasn't very tall at all. That'd probably be me, Anna. I'm basically illiterate. I thought, by the way, they were left at the scene. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Jamie. Weaponizing the mob. They don't believe what they're saying. They just did a temperature check and they realized that they can convince a lot of folks. I don't know why they get off on that shit, but it's really strange. It's really weird to witness. Because they don't want answers in any of these cases, even with Flora. They don't want any answers. They just want to continue the conspiracy of it all. Because all the time that they've invested in these cases has all been into conspiracies. No real proof. Just a lot of weird shit. Like, oh, look at that. Look, it's starting to pile up. And a lot of it's not even confirmed. You know what I mean? So they don't want to solve anything. They just like to get into the conspiracy and look what I found, even though it's really nothing. They didn't find shit. Real answers would stop it all, right? If they were to find the real killer or the real people responsible for Flora, that would put what they're doing to an end. What would they talk about then? And it's sad because they don't care about the victims. They care about a narrative. Libby was definitely the target of his rage, but Abby may have been the target. I'm not quite sure. That's what I feel. I feel like Libby may have given him a run for his money. Yeah, they keep on and keep on. Well, that's what evil does. And sometimes they have successful campaigns. And I always use the West Memphis Three as an example because those guys are probably guilty. But the relentless activity of the devil, just continuous, using his minions to do his bidding. They just keep chipping away, chipping, until you're so gaslit they can throw a match on your ass and you'll go up in flames. The subway. What's up, Silas? You in Chi-Town or in NY? Do they have a subway in LA? Where do they have subways? Do they have them on the West Coast? Yeah, I'm thinking she may have put up a fight. Yeah, Jamie, there's a lot of that weird shit going on too. There's people that acted like my friend for a year just to try to, stick it to me right at the end. I just stay cautious. Me neither, CJK. I haven't even been on the East Coast. What's up, Shell? I would swear on my life that is my soon-to-be ex-husband, Michael Raymond Rapp. Well, it'd be more believable if it was your husband now that you love dearly. I didn't want to believe it, but instead it's, this asshole that I'm divorcing. It's got to be him. My only question would be, was he in Delphi that day? How far would you say he was from the girls when he pulled out his gun? I'm going to say maybe 30 feet. Anywhere between, I don't say, within 50 feet. Yeah, V. And the reason that makes more sense now that they might have, we know that they sent it to Disney, NASA, and all that shit. They could have hidden that gun. I mean, you can see where they blacked out that one frame. You don't want the killer to know that you see the gun. You want to put him at ease. Like, okay, I can't really see the gun in the video. Because it's already going to be hard for the killer to separate himself from that weapon, right? It's memorialized now. It's part of his trophy collection. All these people who are fussing on YouTube and talking about the Delphi case, He probably holds the gun in his hand and watches these videos. He's like, if they only knew. To add to my suspicions, he left when I told him that. Did you tip it in? And you're not the first person to say that. I've had people call into my show and say that they think it's their ex-husband or their boyfriend, or I'll tell you what I tell them. Make sure you tip it into law enforcement. Sounds a lot like Ron Logan's ex-girlfriends. I'm 100% sure it's Ron Logan. Was he nice to you? No. That's why I know it's him. Oh, I missed you, bass girl. How you doing? How far would you say? Oh, yeah. I did answer that question. Sorry. I didn't read your name, though. Good to see you. I'm going to say within 50 feet. Most likely a little less than that. Clever alt name. Just wanted to say I need to listen to your shows more often like I once did. I applaud your stability throughout this case as well as your even keel approach. Yeah, and trust me, I'm vested. Obsessed, really. Well, that's a good point, Molly. And that's what it is. When I see people supporting Richard Allen, knowing what we know, to me, they're suffering from something. They're going through a hard time in life. And it's more about the companionship, the brotherhood, that group think. But either way, they're with somebody. They don't even have to believe what the shit that they're shoveling. They're just happy to be with the group. And I'm noticing that with a lot of these people who have been supporting Richard Allen, there's a lot of depression that I'm seeing. Just telling you guys out there, you don't have to go that route. If you need somebody to talk to, shoot me an email. I'll talk with you. I'll have an honest conversation with you, private, even if that. But you don't have to hang out with the bad crowd just because you're going through some things. You don't have to support what appears to be a child killer just so you can gain favor with a bunch of weird people. Because they're not your friends. They're not. They'll eat you up and spit you out when they're done. Just like they're going to do with Richard Allen. They're going to chew him up, spit him out. Manna says, I think investigators believe fantasy drove the crime. Remember Carter's enigmatic statement that the girls no longer experienced how they were left in the woods. I could see that. Like, yeah, you think you cursed them and you destroyed their lives, but really all you did was free them in a way, Someone called Libby and made plans to meet. Who called her? Yeah, he's concealing all kinds of shit. Why is he layered up? Why does he got his head covered? Why does he got his face covered? Why does he got a knife, a gun? Like, what the hell is he up to? I just never seen any cases where I seen somebody go, oh, well, I'm going to be prepared and I'm going to go to I'm going to go to this place. And First opportunity I get, I'm going to commit a murder. That's not how it happens. These spur of the moment killers always get caught. They always eventually get caught because it's a compulsion. They're leaving work or something and they see a young girl walk behind a building and they're like, it's like the devil just takes a hold of the wheel. That's how they get caught because they didn't plan it out. And I just believe if it was planned out, he would lure his victims. That's the only way I feel like he would be comfortable. That is my unprofessional profile right there. And I profiled this guy from the beginning. I said mama issues, suffering from mental health, and it's his backyard. I said that from the very beginning, and he's a short, stocky man. And that's before I even knew any of this shit. And I was right. And you can go if you want me to, I'll go back and I'll prove that to you guys if you need me to. But I've been saying that from the very beginning. Abby and Libby's classmates say the girl was planned to meet. See, that's what I thought. I knew that the witnesses there were waiting for the girls to show up, but for whatever reason, they didn't make it on time. Yeah, I don't know what that is, Molly. He's got something under his jacket. It almost looks like he's wearing a small backpack, like frontwards. You know what I mean? Like he's wearing a small backpack. Instead of having it on his back, he's wearing it on his belly. And then he took his jacket and put it over it. Either that or some kind of bag, you know? Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Leslie. Good to see you, Leslie. What are you up to? We're going to get out of here in about 10 minutes. We're at the 2-hour mark. If you guys haven't watched my Chelsea Grim documentary, go check it out. It's not monetized or anything, so if you guys want to go watch it, share it. I worked really hard on it. It's an hour long. It took me like 20 hours to make. So I'd appreciate that. Good to see you, Cynthia. Witchcraft. Photo, and I have been watching ever since. Rust Creek showed a scene where the girl was fighting an attacker in the creek, and I thought of the girls fighting. I don't know. I've kind of always been into true crime, the psychology of it all, serial killers, investigators. First 48 is one of my favorite shows. I read all of the Hannibal books. I don't know, but it was really the West Memphis 3 that got me hooked, and that showed me the true manipulation of humanity, and the way and the power of perception. Miss Kitty Sleuth, how do you see it ending? I see Richard Allen pleading out way before trial. I'm talking, I don't know, maybe September. Sometime in September, he's going to plead out. They're going to take the death penalty off the table in exchange for some answers. So you heard it here first, guys. Thank you, V. Hey, Gail. Did you see in New York that man lassoed that woman from behind and assaulted her right there on the street? That shit terrified me. They caught that guy. But this is why I worry. And my wife, she thinks I'm crazy. Because I always make her take the gun with her. I always make her have mace in her pocket. I'm like, you're not going anywhere without any of this. Because of shit like that. I mean, that shit was very scary. And what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do after it. Oh, I'll kill that son of a bitch. That's not going to undo what happened to that poor girl. The only answer is preventative measures. That's it. Proactive measures. And that's what I'm trying to do here, guys. I'm trying to help you all and myself to be proactive. Let's learn about our enemies. Let's learn about these people who are out there. And sometimes there is no rhyme or reason. Hey, Chopper, what's up? I don't know, Chopper. I do not know. Unfortunately, Jamie, they were tasked with destroying that legacy. That's their job. Their client is not Abby and Libby. Their client is Richard Allen. And I'm just not getting any vibes of a losing spirit out of those two. They don't plan to lose. And I don't think they care if he's guilty or innocent. Doesn't matter. They'll leave that for the next group. But this go around, they plan to win. Heck yeah, Silas. You guys ever been at a pig roast with a bunch of Mexican cowboys? Where they're roping and riding, eating Rocky Mountain oysters. I remember finding out the hard way what those were. Being the butt of a joke as a little kid. Oh, how are your Rocky Mountain oysters? Oh, they're good. These are yummy. Yeah, I like Gray Hughes. I like his work. He doesn't know, but we agree on a whole lot. And it really doesn't take a lot. I mean, if you look at the video, he looks like a little guy. I don't know any tall guys with short legs like that and bunched up pants and little feet. Well, you shouldn't believe anything out of anybody's mouth. You need that proof, Leslie. But yeah, I wouldn't. Why would you believe anything that's coming out of their mouths? Why would law enforcement be motivated to frame Richard Allen? Right? That doesn't make any sense. It's almost like the stupidest thing that you could say. But when it comes to the defense team, they have every reason to do what they're doing. They're trying to defend somebody who's most likely guilty. They have a reason to mislead people. The defense doesn't. I mean, what kind of cop wants to arrest the wrong person? I mean, the right person will probably come and hurt one of your family members. I just don't think they would take that chance. Does it happen? Yes. Is it happening here? I don't think so. Yeah, he took underwear and a sock. Yeah. We'll take a photo like this. You never see a photo like this, right? Up the nostrils and full double chin exposed. The power of perception. The Tom Cruise effect. How tall are you, Tom? About 5'10. -8. Hey, Diana. Underwear thieves are actually dangerous. I had a neighbor kid who did that and ate oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy. I've never met anybody that actually did that, but I hear about it and I know some criminals were known to do that. After Richard Allen arrested, it made sense that it was a shorter man. I noticed the pants cuffed, sure sign of his short legs. Yeah, and you can kind of see he has like little feet too. I think an easy comparison is the photo with Abby on the bridge and then the photo with Richard Allen. You can tell they're very similar in height, just off by an inch or two. 5'6", there you go. So I bet law enforcement have it all worked out. 5'6" sounds about right, because if he's 5'4", 5'5", and he's wearing boots, that should lift him up about an inch. Yeah, and maybe we'll learn a lot about Richard Allen. Once he opens up, confesses, maybe he'll talk about just childhood trauma. Maybe he'll give us a clearer picture of what happened. Yeah, he is a pig. We need Sierra's Law, 50 states. What's that, Diana? Sierra. Let's take a look at that. Diana, if you want to shoot me an email, feel free. Sleuthintuition@gmail.com. That goes for anybody. You guys want to talk about any cases, anything you want me to cover for True Crime in the Morning, anything going on, any questions about Abby and Libby's case, or anything I'm working on, just let me know. Yeah, I have an interview later today with Bethany Bauer's friend. She's afraid to tip in the information to law enforcement. So we're going to record a video and then I'm going to send it over to the Popo. Never know, guys. You never know. Yeah, I don't think he's going to trial. He's going to confess. Nick's going to take the death penalty off the table. He seems to believe others were involved. And he's got a better view than I do. I think they did recognize him, Diana. Oh, thank you, Julia. And I got another suggestion the other day. I think we're going to cover that one too. Thank you. But I think this is part of the reason that it took so long. We'll go over a few more pieces of information, then I'll get out of here. Just bear with me here.
By murders investigation, creating more questions in this small town.
They got positive the first guy, now they got a new guy.
State police believe this second sketch more accurately depicts Abby and Libby's killer. They just revealed it on Monday, but we're learning an artist drew it 2 years ago.
It's kind of all confusing to me right now.
It looks like
Our
that guy.
partners at the Indy Star confirmed the artist drew this sketch 3 days after the bodies of Abby and Libby were found. In a statement today, state police said the first sketch released in 2017 was a person of interest, but now they say the new one more accurately represents the person wanted for murder. However, state police didn't answer.
Let's go to Anna's comment. She hit it right on the head. If a career criminal was accused of the crime, it would be less emotional. There's another layer of tragedy and that another family now suffers, and they likely didn't see this coming. See, and that's true. But there's really only one person to blame for that, right? The same person who victimized Abby and Libby and their family. It's the same person who's victimizing his own family. And in most cases, it's a really bad guy, and the family's relieved, right? Oh, we've been living under his control this entire time. He's abusive, violent. You know, there was nothing we could do. But no, that's not what's going on in this case. Even though we haven't heard from his daughter and really haven't heard from his wife, if he was a bad husband or a bad man that his wife knew about, I don't think she would be in that courtroom unless she's guilty after the fact and she's just trying to control her narrative.
There are questions about why the department waited so long to release it.
If we have multiple witnesses describing different subjects, then it would be normal to have two different types of sketches.
Gil Zamora is a forensic sketch artist out of California, certified by the FBI. He has no ties to this case. In his experience, releasing a sketch 2 years after it's drawn is not common, but he sees how it can happen.
New information has come up that allows you to believe that maybe that information was more reliable than you thought.
ISP says this man represents the face of the person captured on Libby's cell phone. The agency also is not sharing specifics on why they're going with this sketch now.
That's just kind of crazy how it come up.
A community searching for answers on a man who may have never left Delphi. It's leaving some confused, but hopeful they're closer to an arrest.
Okay, so that didn't help, right? If you were suspecting Richard Allen, that didn't help. What else do we have here? Oh, here's an old thumbnail that I made, kind of. Hiding in plain sight.
Tonight in the Delphi murder case, investigators still trying to figure out who killed Libby German and Abby Williams 2 years ago. And tonight, police are providing more clarification about that latest sketch from the suspect.
Yeah, tonight at 11 o'clock, our own Emily Longnecker explains what police want the public to really know about this case. Emily?
Well, Andrea and Scott, the sketch released on Monday is the person investigators are looking for. He's the man police believe killed the two girls. Now, let's take a look at that sketch. Again, it's right here. Police say this is the face of the man captured on Libby German's cell phone video walking on the bridge. This other sketch released 2 years ago when the investigation first started is not who police are looking for now. This person is not.
Okay, so this kind of shit doesn't help because this actually, in my opinion, looks like Richard Allen. I mean, it doesn't look like him, but it looks like him, right? You got the scruffy beard, and maybe he did have some scruffy hair at the time with the hoodie and a small hat. Maybe it was that beanie that he wears all the time because it has a little bill on it if you take a close look. So why would they say he's no longer a person of interest? You know, so if you thought that Richard Allen was the old looking sketch, and now law enforcement's telling you that he's no longer a suspect, this is a good opportunity for Richard Allen to say, I told you guys. And then when they say stuff like, well, you're obviously the guy on the bridge, right? Yeah, it must be like some kind of weird strategy that they're doing. I don't know. But you guys all know I went and spoke to police. And now look, they're telling you right now it's not me. The man depicted in the old sketch released to the public 2 years ago is no longer believed to be a person who killed the teens Abby and Libby in Delphi, Indiana State Police said. The man in the 2017 sketch was a person of interest in the investigation during that period, police said. What the fuck? Now that's no longer the case. Investigators believe the man shown in the sketch released during a press conference on Monday more accurately represents the person who killed the teens on February 2017. While both sketches were drawn in 2017, police clarified that the renderings are not the same person. Okay, so if you're Richard Allen's wife, that's a right there. To load off your shoulders. Riley also said Wednesday that the original sketch released in the summer of 2017 showing a man with a goatee and a driving cap is not presently a person of interest in this investigation, according to an ISP release. The new sketch of the clean-shaven man is representative of the face of the person captured in the video on Liberty German's cell phone. So I don't know if the media is just quoting this incorrectly. Well, this will clarify it. This is an official police bulletin out of Lafayette. One of the first bullet points. They are not the same person. So if you were thinking about tipping in Richard Allen, you're not anymore. Because he's obviously the older looking sketch, right? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying here, Diana. She probably did recognize him. But look, they're giving them every reason not to turn him in. They knew from the beginning that he spoke to police, that he was there around the time of the murders on the trail. His wife knew it. All his friends knew it. And they probably suspected him of being the old bridge guy sketch. Like, man, that kind of looks like you, dude. And then you have law enforcement coming out saying they are not the same person. Now, is this some kind of a strategy? Is it a Hail Mary? Did they have nothing at this point? Like, what are they doing? Yeah, and then you have Doug Carter saying, well, it's going to be somewhere in between. And that's all good and fair. But what about this? How is there such miscommunication between Doug Carter and the rest of the group? And then you have a close friend of Richard Allen, this guy, who probably wanted to turn him in, wanted to tip him in, but also there's no way it was Richard Allen, right? There's no way he did this. Friend says, Channel 6, you need to let everybody know they have talked to this man and released him. W2HR updates this a while ago. He went to the police. They have released him, and he is not a suspect. So here he's standing up for his buddy. Oh, that's a good point. Good to see you. It's me. Plausible deniability. So I don't blame Richard Allen's friends. I don't blame his family yet, because I feel like Richard Allen is a Jedi. He's doing Jedi mind tricks on people. He's able to manipulate people. And then also we have this. I don't know who the hell this was, but we've had this 4chan stuff for a long time. Look at this. February of 2020. Just because there was a video of Richard on the train tracks doesn't mean he did it. The cops are smart enough to know this and have probably interrogated him already. It was a dead end. Either that or he has connections. It was probably someone from out of town. Who knows, though? Richard. What's up, Blind Squirrel? Ooh. Just in time. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's live stream. If you guys have any questions, if you're part of that replay crew, let me know. And we'll go ahead and kick that outro. If you guys want, go check out my new website, sleuthintuition.com. That's where we're going to be selling merch out of there. If you guys want to support my channel, it's all free shipping. Everything's about $30 through Zelle or Cash App. Fill out the order. And also, Dawn and Kitty, if you're watching, I know you're here, Dawn. If you guys can go ahead and go to the sleuthintuition.com, place your orders, and just send me your order number. I'm going to send you guys out some free merch for helping funding my Chelsea Grimm investigation. You and a couple others, but the other folks, I'm going to email them separately. I don't think they're here today. But yeah. Oh, also, there's some new merch that I have here that's not on there. So if you don't see anything you like, send me what you want, your sizes and everything, and then I'll make sure I get that ordered. It takes about a week for me to get those orders in. But yeah. So Kitty Wambalista and Don Spain, if you guys could go fill those orders out. And if you're not interested, just shoot me an email. But I'll get you guys out some merch. All righty, guys, that's going to do it. If you need me at all, if you guys need to get a hold of me, all my contact information is on the website. But the quickest way is just shoot me an email at sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Thank you for watching the Sleuth Intuition channel. If you are part of the replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Sleuth Intuition is 100% crowd-funded. If you want to support me and help my channel grow, here are 3 ways that you can help. Number 1, Cash App. The funds go directly to me without YouTube taking a percentage. Number 2, become a member. Members are by far the leading contributors to my channel. Number 3, hit up the merch shop. Represent the sleuth crew on these ruthless streets. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Until next time, peace.